Okay, folks. So I want to share a little bit more curious information and stuff about this whole Trump thing. I just, there are a lot of people covering it. There's a lot of so-called citizen journalists and so-called experts all analyzing the video, analyzing the audio, and coming, to several different types of conclusions. The narratives are shifting here and there. And there's, every day since it seems like there's been a new narrative or a new clue or something. I don't know. I just noticed that there are a lot of people that are covering this whole thing. So I'm not going to be doing too many more videos on it. There's just a couple more things that I just find really curious about the whole thing that I just want to share. And one of the things that I had pointed out before, pun intended, was the way that Trump was standing. He seemed to be pointing right before the shots were fired. He seemed to be pointing off in the direction towards where the so-called shooter was at, right? And real quick, these chicks back here, their reaction, the way they drop down and just disappear behind Trump, I don't know. It's kind of comical. I don't know why. I don't mean to make light of the situation, and what these people in their minds have been put through. But watch, like this chick right here, she just like drops straight down, like she's on an elevator or something. It's just some of the people's reactions immediately after are certainly a little bit sus, but then again, we can say whatever we want, but until we've been through the experience ourselves, or even just the simulation or the scenario of the situation that supposedly unfolded here, we don't know how we would react. I really don't. Myself, I would probably have had my camera out. I would have been recording. So, but he points. He's pointing off in that direction. Okay, and we can see him right here on the stage, right? And he's pointing at this right there, which is this chart right here. And he's telling the people, look at the arrows, look at the arrows. And if you notice, this one here is kind of off at an angle, but it's kind of interesting because what if this was like a trigger mechanism, so to speak, that as soon as Trump started calling for this with the red arrows, okay, to be put up on those big jumbotrons, what if that was like a trigger type of a mechanism or something, right? And he's pointing off in this direction. If you notice, way off over here is the water tower. And now there is speculation that there was a shooter up on the water tower, and there's video supposedly surfacing of that too. But I've got my own close up view. But you can see up here in the small window, you can see he's pointing off in that direction. And where he's at here on the stage, he's pointing off right towards that direction, right towards the water tower, right towards the area where the supposed shooter was at up on the roof. And now watch these chicks behind Trump. The way that they drop is just I don't know. It's just something very curious about everybody's reactions. Really, watch this chick right here. She just poof, disappears right out of sight, like boom, gone. And then we have, of course, another angle here, and you got the Vincent Fusca character here too. But just the way that Trump is like pointing off in that direction towards the jumbotron, which has this image that was put up on it, and he's telling people in his speech, he's telling people, "Look at the arrows! Look at the arrows! We were doing so good. Look at the numbers. Yeah, look at the numbers, indeed." And I just is there a specific reason why the jumbotrons were placed the way that they were, and the layout of the whole thing? Trump's down in here, right? And like I said, right here at the very top, you can see the legs of the water tower, and right over here is where the shooter was. And when Trump was down there on this stage, right here, he was pointing at this jumbotron. And with him pointing off in that direction, he's pointing off towards the water tower, and he's pointing off and just in general in this direction over here. And I don't know. I just think that that's kind of curious. Curious that Trump is pointing off towards the water tower, off in this direction at the time of the shooting. Okay, but I mean, if we look at this and we line it up, then the jumbotron would have been kind of in the way of anybody that might have been up on the water tower. But then again, you're talking about a height advantage too. Could have come down and shot down at a downward type of an angle, but according to the video analysis so far, the bullet was coming from like off in this direction. So I don't know. Trump snipers were up here, and they supposedly were shooting off. If you look at the angle, that doesn't really look like they're shooting off towards the left and towards this direction. It looks like they are shooting more off in this direction towards the water tower too. And that's another video to analyze. But I just it's just curious to me to see all of the information as it's being released and unfolded and everything, that they're really pushing this narrative so heavily that it was a failure on the part of Secret Service, that Secret Service failed Trump. What's going on with that water tower like that, looking all weird? It looks like there's like plastic or something on top of the water tower right there. I don't know. uh, do I think that they would have staged something like this? I wouldn't put it past them. And then you got this backstage type of a video here showing them throwing his shoes around and fumbling around with him, and it's just I don't there's There's some other backstage footage as well that someone else had shared that shows the photographers, and I think that's kind of curious too. If we look at the photographers, this is a close up of the photographers around the stage and stuff at the time of the shooting. You can see Trump's pointing, and you got these photographers here. And at one point, there's an agent back here that directs one of these photographers to go ahead and go around the front. And it's right before Trump gets shot. So it's almost as if these, photographers kind of knew right where to be at in order to get that iconic shot, right? And there's a couple of different iconic shots, really, and that were taken by photographers that, I mean, the one dude, I'm really not quite sure why the one dude would have even been at just a Trump. This is supposed to just be a Trump rally, right? And how many of these award-winning Pulitzer Prize award-winning photojournalists, and here they are right here, journalists just rushing around, not concerned about his life, of course, because he's a journalist. He's trying to get that money shot, and they're over here just getting the money shot. Right here is a group of three getting that money shot, right? And then you got him coming around this side to get Trump doing the whole fist pump thing, and it just, to me, it just seems kind of interesting that these supposed award-winning photographers would be at a Trump rally, right? And you got the AP photographers. I don't trust the Associated Press myself, but that's just me in my opinion. But you have this article here that I find really interesting because this was published by the AP. The AP put this out to announce their best of AP first winter, their latest first winner for the best photograph, because apparently they have a competition or something with their photojournalist or whatever. But they talk about the photographers Vucci and Pushkar. And you notice there's an H in there, right? Pushkar and reporter Carr Smith. You got your dual R's, your dual C's, of course. They dominate with photos and account of assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. Do they dominate? Are you sure? Because there's another character that goes by the name of Doug Mills that actually captured a really iconic photograph right here. This one here of Trump. This is Doug Mills, okay? And in case you're not familiar with who Doug Mills is, Doug Mills is the character that took that famous photograph of George Bush sitting there at the school when the dude came up and whispered in George Bush's ear. That was this guy that took that photograph. So how interesting that he ends up at Trump's rally getting this iconic photo here, which according to AP, isn't that important because, their reporters dominate with photos and the account of it. But if you look at the spelling really quick though, I just want to say, like I said, because I'm repetitive, I'll say it again. This is an article that was put out by Associated Press where they were giving praise to their photographers. And this name Pushkar, there's an H in there, right? There's an H in there. Well, it's kind of interesting. Even it's here too. Gene Pushkar, Julie Carr Smith, and Evan Vucci, where they praised their, Evan Vucci, the AP's chief photographer in Washington, captured the defining image of the July 13th assassination attempt. Pittsburgh-based photographer Gene Puss. They forgot the H. Why would the editor leave that out? You know what I mean? In this particular spelling here and in this article, they refer to this person as Puskar with no H. And Ohio political reporter Julie Carr Smith displayed immense courage and sharp journalistic instincts. The three earned Best of AP for extraordinary performances. And they give this riveting account of, he says, at the moment I heard the shots being fired, I knew that this was a moment in American history that had to be documented, said Bucci, who recounted his experience in an AP video. It's our job as journalists to do this work. Of course it is. Superb teamwork ensured the images placed in front of a global audience in U.S. photographic history. And then they talk about these people that just led the rapid editing responses and all the people responsible for getting these, really riveting, captivating photographs out. And again, I got to mention Puskar. It's misspelled again. They didn't put the H in when they were talking about the story and giving credit to this Gene Pushkar, which I find very curious. But come on, folks. This was just a regular Trump rally, right? What were these people really doing at Trump's rally, especially when Jill was doing some kind of a thing close by too at the time? But this Doug Mills character he was like the chief for the Associated Press years ago. So this guy used to work for the Associated Press, okay? And then he went to work for the New York Times. But I just, I don't think that it's a coincidence that these people showed up at that particular rally on that particular day and were able to capture these iconic photos, and then they're here patting each other on the back. And that wasn't the first time that there was an attempt on Trump's life. That one was just a little bit more dramatic. But back in 2016, Trump had to be rushed off the stage here in Nevada because there was supposedly a protester security personnel ran to the stage and grabbed Trump by the shoulders and rushed him behind the curtain. And security let a bald man out of the convention hall as the crowd cheered and also booed the protester. And it says here Trump, of course, I want to thank the Secret Service. These guys are fantastic. They don't get enough credit. I want to thank all these people. No weapon was found on the man. However, shouts from the crowd about a gun elevated the Secret Service's response. So that was back in 2000. And then there was some character here, supposedly obsessed mummy's boy Britt tried to shoot Donald Trump after lunging for a cop's gun. And again, this was in 2016. It says that it was updated in 2019 too, but that apparently this guy, uh, Michael Sanford, allegedly tried to grab a cop's gun in a bid to shoot the U.S. presidential hopeful dead at a rally in Las Vegas on Saturday. And of course, it can now be revealed that the how old 20-year-old from Dorking, Surrey, was living with his mom, Lynn, up until June of 2014. And then he hooked on buying robots, although he had no idea how to operate them. Then he ended up selling them all and moving. And it says here that he sold all of his Robot Wars robots and then fled to the States. So I just 20 years old, similar type of a narrative thing. But in this case, they rushed Trump off the stage. And I just, this whole stage thing, and it's curious to me because this was surfacing uh, a few years ago too. Donald Trump dead from a fatal heart attack screamed a December 19th, 2016 headline from a site called the NewYorkEvening.com. And it showed this image of Trump lying, Trump sprawled out on the ground. Okay. But really, it turns out that um, where is the photo coming from and is it real? It says it is, and it comes from Trump's 2007 appearance at WrestleMania 23. Trump, who knows World Wrestling Entertainment kingpin Vince McMahon, had agreed to the Battle of the Billionaires. In that storyline, Trump and McMahon both chose a proxy wrestler to compete in the annual pay-per-view event, with the loser having his head shaved in front of the roaring crowd. Well, there's the iconic photo, right? The Trump laying in the WrestleMania ring. This screen grab of an image on fake news sites implied that it was taken after Donald Trump's imaginary heart attack, but it's actually Trump suffering from a stone cold stunner during WrestleMania 23. At the match, Trump clotheslined McMahon prior to Trump's wrestler winning the match, and Trump then shaved McMahon's head in the ring. Now, Trump was involved with the WWE for several years after the match, and one storyline in 2009 involved Trump buying the WWE's Raw from McMahon, then selling it back to him for twice the price. Even though the sale was fake, it still caused WWE stock to drop 7% at one point. Trump was Trump was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2013. 3 years later, the president-elect tapped McMahon's wife, Linda McMahon, who was at the RNC convention, by the way, who donated $6 million to a Trump super PAC to head the Small Businesses Association. So Trump has some association with this type of stage, so to speak, and being on a stage and acting and all of that too. I'm just saying, it's very curious. It's also very curious that a BlackRock linked firm under scanner for shorting of Trump's stock before the assassination attempt, they short sold and then claimed that it was just a clerical error, right? There's several news stories talking about this, where there was this investment firm that allegedly put options on 12 million Trump stocks day before assassination attempt, blames filing error. Rothschild, BlackRock, Vanguard, Meta, George Bush, and Cheney family among the top investors. So that's kind of curious, right? Yeah, same thing. It's just curious to me that they're allowing this type of information to be disseminated, as well as the information that the so-called recent shooter, supposedly, um, had donated like money to Secure Act Blue, and it's backed by Obama people too. And this chart is just curious to me that they would put this chart up there with these red arrows for Trump to be pointing at right at the moment when he's shot. It's just curious. I don't know. Anyway, that's about all that I have on that situation there. There's a lot of coincidences. There are a whole lot of coincidences, and it's curious to see, the private investigators and the so-called expert analyzers going through and analyzing the audio and analyzing the sound and coming up to these conclusions that are like, I mean, a lot of them make sense. And do we really think that we're going to get any kind of an honest type of a reporting or investigation from the FBI? Oh, this was curious too. Oh yeah, there was another video from the other day too. This supposedly,
My name is Thomas Matthew Crooks. I hate Republicans. I hate Trump. And guess what? You got the wrong guy.
so
My
why
name
are
is
they
Thomas
allowing
Matthew
videos like
Crooks.
this even to be circulated? Because that was circulating for a little bit. And then here's this is from the rally in Michigan the other day. We were watching it live on RSBN, of course. So, and Donald Trump has a YouTube channel too, in case you guys didn't know. But check this dude out. This dude was walking through
Right there looks a little
the
bit like
crowds. And you know what? I'm watching these people off here in the background too. These people are watching this dude too. This was somebody
Thomas
walking
Matthew Crooks.
through,
It's
and
something
he
in his
almost looks
pocket
right at
here.
the camera too. And if you notice, these people in the background are watching him too. He looks a little bit like that supposed shooter dude, doesn't he? But this guy was at the Michigan rally. So if they got the guy, if they got the shooter, then this couldn't possibly be the guy, right? But it's very curious though,
There it
because
looks
he
a little
looks a
bit
lot
like
like the
Thomas Matthew
character
Crooks.
that was in um in this lookalike video too.
My name is Thomas Matthew Crooks. I
I
hate
mean, not exact, of
Republicans.
course,
I hate
but
Trump. And guess what? You got the wrong guy.
I don't know. It looks
My
a
name
little
is
bit like
Thomas
him. And look
Matthew
at the jaw
Crooks. I hate
structure, the hair.
Republicans. I hate Trump. And guess what?
This kind of looks like it could be this
You got
guy,
the
this
wrong
character
guy.
right here, walking around the
My name is
Michigan
Thomas Matthew
rally,
Crooks.
just
I
casually
hate
walking around. And if you
Republicans.
notice,
I hate Trump.
he's got like something really large in his pocket here.
Like Thomas
See
Matthew
that
Crooks.
right there?
It's
He's
something
got
in
a
his
big
pocket
phone or
there.
tablet or something in his pocket too. But I don't know, folks. I don't know. I think that it's curious. Trump would be pointing off in that direction. I don't know, y'all. Oh, and this is curious too. Have y'all seen this before? This could be our next president if they bring him onto the ticket. Just saying, stay mindful. It's just there's so much going on all at once. So just stay mindful, folks. Oh, and I do have another capture of Star Trails from last night. And the night before, they did something kind of weird too. So I'm going to be working on that and getting that uploaded later on today too, as well as some full moon footage. I did capture some full moon footage too. So anyway, stay safe and mindful, folks. Know that I appreciate you and welcome to the new subscribers. And there's definitely more to come if I can help it.